They're going to the room and they're staying in the room and they're not gonna whore and pimp her. Whore. You're gonna go back to cheap whore.
3 female friends were staying at a vacation rental in Palm Beach in August when they were falsely accused of trespassing and were harassed by one of the building's residents. In a series of TikTok videos, the alleged victims captured parts of the confrontation on video, which showed a woman claiming to be the property owner following the group around and filming them with her phone. The woman could be heard calling the victims names while they remained respectful and calm despite being berated in an attempt to handle the situation in a civil manner. The friends reported the stranger's belligerent behavior to the front desk. The suspect rudely interjected during the conversation, claiming that the women were trespassing on private property and continuing to call them names while accusing them of renting the unit for nefarious purposes. The women eventually returned to their room while the crazed resident stood outside and continued her tirade, which included threats to have the victims arrested. But this wasn't a first-time occurrence, according to the victims, who said that the unit's owner told them similar incidents had taken place in the past. They were offered a free stay at the rental, and their TikTok followers commended them for handling the bizarre encounter with utmost composure.
Pimp. Whore.
You can't be cordial though?
You're not from Florida, are you?
Nope.
Exactly. Maybe in Missouri you've been carrying on as you do, but not in Florida.
Number 25. Esmeralda Aurora Cruz. While responding to a reported assault at an intersection in Lehigh Acres in late October, Lee County Sheriff's deputies spoke with a male victim who claimed he had been attacked by his neighbor. According to an arrest affidavit, 23-year-old Esmeralda Aurora Cruz had stopped her Porsche in front of the man's house and revved the engine. Footage showed the driver whipping around the man and his dog at a high speed before circling back to the scene, where Cruz could be seen exiting her vehicle and brandishing a pistol. She pointed the gun straight at the victim, whose wife and daughter had come outside in an attempt to de-escalate the dispute. Cruz told police that she believed the victim was trying to strike her vehicle when she confronted him. She admitted that she may have pointed her gun at the man and his family, but denied having any serious intentions to use the firearm. The young woman further claimed that she felt as if the victim and his family members were coming at her when she decided to pull her gun. Investigators concluded that the video of the incident corroborated the victim's statement and arrested Cruz on suspicion of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Number 24. Emely Martinez. In an ongoing legal saga that began last year, 36-year-old Emely Martinez is facing numerous charges for practicing dentistry without a license in Pinellas Park. She was arrested for the first time in 2024 in Hillsborough County after authorities received complaints from multiple clients who suffered infections and damaged teeth after undergoing botched work at the suspect's clinic. Included among the victims was one woman who had received emergency surgery for veneers that had been attached using nail glue. Another patient accused Martinez of refusing to refund their $1,600 payment after their veneers started falling out. Following her initial arrest, Martinez was released on bond. She landed back in custody in August for allegedly violating the terms of her pre-trial release by continuing to perform dental procedures without the proper credentials. This time she was reportedly caught operating out of a strip mall while continuing to advertise her services on social media. Following her more recent arrest, Martinez's bond was revoked and she was placed back in custody. She remains held at the Pinellas County Jail and is facing at least 4 charges total in both Pinellas and Hillsborough counties. Number 23. Scott Thomas Deiseroth.
My question was, are you Haitian? Who's the guy in the white shirt?
That's the Colonel.
Colonel, don't mean Okay, well. I'm federal.
Okay.
I'm trying to get home. I got my boys with me.
Who do you work for?
DHS.
Do you have your ID with you?
On August 13th, sheriff's deputies in the Florida Keys pulled over an Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent for reckless driving, identified in reports as 42-year-old Scott Thomas Deiseroth. The driver had reportedly been seen swerving heavily between lanes and straddling the center line with 2 children inside the vehicle. An arrest affidavit notes that the deputies noticed an overwhelming odor of alcohol upon approaching the suspect's vehicle. Deiseroth's blood alcohol content later tested at twice the legal limit. During the traffic stop, he became belligerent and began questioning the nationality of Deputy Markins Dorestant, who speaks with a Caribbean accent. In body cam footage of the interaction, Deiseroth could be heard asking Dorestant if he was Haitian. Both Dorestant and his colleague, Deputy Jonathan Lane, said that the situation had nothing to do with Dorestant's race or nationality, to which Deiseroth replied, it does. Deiseroth then stated that he was going to run some background checks on Deiseroth, and that Deiseroth would be deported if his immigration status did not prove to be legit. He was arrested on suspicion of DUI and 2 counts of child endangerment, and body cam footage of his arrest soon went viral. During an interview with the Washington Post, Deiseroth's defense attorney, Michael Catalano, said that his client was trying to show that he's a better person than the man he was during his arrest. Catalano also said that Deiseroth will be writing an apology letter once the ongoing case is over. Number 22. Terry Johnson. During what began as an ordinary Sunday evening in early August, Polk County deputies responded to a report of a battery incident against a convenience store employee. In Bradley, they arrived to find the worker suffering from a concussion and a bleeding laceration above his eye, which ended up requiring 10 stitches. During the investigation, deputies reviewed surveillance footage of the encounter, which appeared to show the suspect, 30-year-old Terry Lamar Johnson Jr., accusing the clerk of staring at him after entering the store with 2 other men. The victim told Johnson to get what he needed and leave, at which point Johnson allegedly threw a full, unopened, 2-liter bottle of Orange Crush in the employee's face, knocking him unconscious. Following the incident, the Polk County Sheriff's Office obtained a warrant for Johnson's arrest for 1 count of felony battery causing great bodily harm. The agency appealed to the public for information on Johnson's whereabouts, and he was reportedly captured a few weeks later. Records show that Johnson has a lengthy history of prior arrests, dating at least as far back as 2013. And that he was most recently released from jail in October after being taken into custody for a drug paraphernalia charge. Number 21. Jennifer Benitez.
You're harassing me.
I'm harassing
Get out
you?
of my vehicle right now.
I'm not harassing
Get
you.
out of my vehicle. She doesn't want to get out of my vehicle.
No, she just pulled
Get
a gun.
out of my vehicle. You're no longer in the ride. Get out. Get out of my vehicle right now.
She got them crazy eyes.
Get out.
Oh.
Get
Ooh.
out.
Ooh.
Get out of my vehicle.
A 23-year-old Uber driver went viral in late May after footage surfaced online of her pointing a gun at passengers in Broward County with a crazed look in her eyes. The incident took place in Hollywood, where Jennifer Benitez could be seen brandishing the weapon and ordering the 2 passengers to exit her vehicle. Police responded to the scene after Benitez called 911, said the passengers were refusing to get out of her car and abruptly hung up. She was arrested 6 days later in Port St. Lucie County and booked into custody on suspicion of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. During an initial court hearing, the rideshare driver's defense attorney argued that his client, who has no priors on her record and is a college student, legitimately feared for her life and therefore acted legally under Florida's Stand Your Ground law. Benitez was released after posting a $7,500 bond but was rearrested in June. Records show that she's currently on electronic monitoring amid the ongoing case. Number 20. Daniel Scott Burch. The morning of September 23rd turned out to be a busy one for Charlotte County Sheriff's Deputy Timothy Poole, who was called to the same condominium complex twice over a neighborly dispute. Poole first responded to the scene shortly before 9 a.m. regarding allegations that 50-year-old Daniel Scott Burch had damaged his neighbor's property. A deputy documented the damage and left without making any arrests due to a lack of evidence. Later that day, the neighbor called law enforcement again and accused Burch of physically assaulting him after seeing a video that appeared to corroborate the victim's allegation that Burch had punched him in the face. Poole escorted the fearful victim to his house. While the two were talking outside, Burch exited his home, leading to a heated verbal confrontation between the suspect and Poole. The interaction escalated quickly and ended with Poole shooting Burch during an apparent struggle over his service weapon. Burch died from his injuries, and Poole's handling of the incident has since been called into question by the victim's family, who do not believe deadly force was necessary. Poole retired from the sheriff's office in early October amid the ongoing scrutiny over his actions, but has not been charged in connection with the case. Charlotte County Sheriff Bill Prummel declined to answer questions during a press conference announcing the release of body cam footage of the incident, stating that there were still unanswered questions surrounding the case and that the investigation was ongoing. Number 19. Tikila Walker. In what news outlets have described as the Port St. Joe Police Department's first officer-involved shooting in decades, a 41-year-old woman named Tikila Walker sustained 2 bullet wounds after charging at a police sergeant with a 16-inch fillet knife. The series of events leading up to the use of gunfire came amid a string of hit-and-run accidents in August that authorities say Walker was involved in during her attempts to avoid having her car repossessed. Body cam footage appeared to show Walker exiting the driver's side of her vehicle just moments after being tased. Seemingly unfazed by the effects of the stun gun, Walker charged at a sergeant while holding a large knife over her head. The sergeant and another officer opened fire on the woman who survived her injuries. After receiving treatment at a hospital for gunshot wounds to the arm and hip, Walker was booked into jail on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon on a law enforcement officer and resisting arrest with violence. Number 18. Michael McClellan. While arriving at the scene of a residential domestic disturbance in Homosassa Springs in early August, Citrus County deputies overheard gunshots coming from inside the home. A young boy managed to escape from the house and said that his mother, 45-year-old Sadie Marie Gochis, had been shot by her boyfriend of 6 years. In hopes of preventing any potential deadly violence, members of law enforcement spent hours securing the scene and attempting to talk with 37-year-old Michael Lee McClellan, who remained inside the home. Contact was eventually made with the suspect, who eventually surrendered peacefully and has since been charged with second-degree murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Upon making entry into the home, deputies found Gochis lying deceased on the floor of the master bedroom with an AR-style rifle nearby. During their conversations with McClellan, negotiators noticed that he seemed to be suffering from symptoms of mental illness consistent with schizophrenia and methamphetamine abuse. Following his arrest, he confessed to killing Gochis in a fit of rage during an argument over her alleged infidelity with an older male friend. Throughout the interview, McClellan also exhibited signs of severe paranoia while fluctuating between being calm and having sudden emotional outbursts. He admitted to losing his temper and shooting the victim for her alleged lack of compassion for his mental suffering as she attempted to end the relationship. The case is ongoing and McClellan remains held without bond at the Citrus County Detention Facility. Number 17. Kenneth Christopher Cook. A brief interaction between a Stewart police officer and a suspect ended in deadly gunfire in late March when a seemingly disturbed man refused to drop a knife. The officer, Kyle Osinga, responded to a call about the man lurking outside an apartment building and stalking a woman with the weapon shortly after 7 a.m. on a Saturday. Osinga approached the suspect, 36-year-old Kenneth Christopher Cook, and asked him to put down the blade. Instead of complying, Cook went inside a nearby residence before re-emerging with an even bigger knife. He charged toward Osinga at full speed, prompting the officer to respond with deadly force. The entire incident occurred in just 22 seconds from the beginning of Osinga's conversation with Cook until the suspect collapsed onto the ground with 2 bullet wounds. Cook died from his injuries at a nearby hospital, leaving the ordinarily quiet community shaken after experiencing its first fatal officer-involved shooting in 24 years. Osinga was placed on administrative leave while an investigation was carried out. In the meantime, Stewart Police Chief Joseph Tominelli credited the officer's training and quick response with saving his life. Number 16. Justin Chandler Smith.
There's a guy in a red, maroonish, long-sleeve shirt and black pants with a cane that is walking with a rifle. Not sure if that's gun. Not even sure if it's BB, but I know a car went to turn off Weber just a second ago, and he took the gun off and pointed it at the car as the car was turning.
On the morning of September 3rd, Bay County Sheriff's deputies responded to multiple 911 calls about a man carrying a gun and behaving erratically while walking along a roadside in Panama City. One caller reported seeing the suspect pointed a gun at a motorist and accused the man of stalking him at his workplace, putting responding members of law enforcement on high alert as they arrived on scene. Identified in reports as 45-year-old Justin Chandler Smith, the gun-wielding suspect had been the subject of a harassment and trespassing complaint the previous night. During the more recent encounter with law enforcement, he quickly became agitated as the responding deputy, 27-year-old Hunter Jenkins, tried talking to him. Smith, who was armed with a handgun and a shotgun, seemed extremely paranoid as he raised his hands and accused Jenkins of reaching for his service weapon. Jenkins asked if he could take Smith's shotgun and attempted to retrieve the weapon, at which point the suspect reached for his handgun. Despite being warned not to touch the weapon, Smith pointed it at Jenkins and both men opened fire. Smith continued to shoot even after being hit by a bullet and falling onto the ground, while Jenkins continued to return fire until Smith became unresponsive. Jenkins rendered emergency aid, but Smith was pronounced dead at the scene. According to the latest available updates on the case, the incident remains under investigation. Number 15. Louis Jules. The prime suspect in a double homicide that took place in Tampa in early October is behind bars, thanks to one of his victims who captured footage of the deadly attack that claimed their life. By the time police discovered the two victims hanging out of a pickup truck, the killer had fled the scene. While searching the cell phone of a 40-year-old unnamed woman, police found a video which showed the gunman standing outside the truck. Later identified as 59-year-old Louis Jules, the suspect could be seen splashing a cup of liquid onto a 37-year-old male victim and reaching for a semi-automatic handgun. The woman screamed and tried to flee the scene, but both she and her companion were fatally shot. 8 hours after discovering the bodies, police received a tip from Jules's neighbor, who recognized him as the man in the footage. Law enforcement tracked him down at the home of a friend, where he had been seen discarding the suspected murder weapon. Jules reportedly admitted to shooting the victims over a money-related dispute. He was booked into Hillsborough County Jail, where he remains held without bond on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of tampering with evidence. Number 14. Journee McGrew. During the early morning hours of July 2nd, police responded to reports of a domestic dispute at a Jacksonville apartment, where they found 41-year-old Waduta Woodley lying dead in a pool of blood with a note on his chest accusing him of grooming minors. He had been bludgeoned to death with a hammer by 21-year-old Journee McGrew, whose father called 911 at 2 a.m. after learning what had happened from his daughter. During her conversation with law enforcement, McGrew reportedly claimed that Woodley had been grooming her since childhood. She also accused the victim of assaulting her several times in the past, despite his lack of any record for those types of crimes. McGrew said she grabbed a hammer and bludgeoned Woodley to death when he started pressuring her for intimacy. Despite being rejected, the victim allegedly persisted. A trail of bloody footprints led responding officers to the sink where they found the hammer, and McGrew was arrested on suspicion of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. She pleaded not guilty and remains in custody as she awaits her next pre-trial hearing. Number 13. Christopher Bobby Rowell. In late July, 3 women were found shot to death in Nassau County alongside their accused assailant, who was clinging to life with similar injuries inside a Hilliard home. Police responded to the residence after receiving a 911 call from a neighbor, who was alerted to the carnage by a little girl who had escaped from the crime scene. Included among the victims was the girl's mother, 32-year-old Melissa Rowell, her aunt, 33-year-old Alicia Fogarty, and her grandmother, 71-year-old Sandra Fogarty. The gunman, 34-year-old Christopher Bobby Rowell, was Melissa Rowell's husband. He was declared brain dead after being rushed to the hospital, where he was taken off life support several days later after doctors harvested his organs for donation. Christopher and Melissa Rowell had no known history of prior domestic violence calls in the area, according to Nassau County Sheriff Bill Leeper, who said that he had a theory regarding a motive for the triple homicide, but declined to elaborate, citing the ongoing nature of the investigation. Number 12. Lamar Bryant. 41-year-old Lamar Bryant was already out on bond after a recent arrest for selling cocaine, and there was a warrant out for his arrest for fleeing from police when he allegedly killed his estranged wife in late March. Orange County deputies responded to the couple's Orlo Vista home, where they found 42-year-old Takesha Eads dead in the bathroom with a gunshot wound to the head. According to authorities, Bryant had picked up one of Eads' daughters from school before stopping at a liquor store. He then drove to a storage unit where he retrieved 2 guns and went home, where he followed Eads into the bathroom and shot her. Upon hearing the gunfire, Eads' 2 daughters ran outside. When they saw Bryant exit the home, they asked him what was going on, to which he responded, "Nothing," and shrugged. Bryant then left the residence and was later arrested on a first-degree murder charge. He remains held without bond, and news reports have since revealed that Eads had asked him for a divorce in the days leading up to her death, but that Bryant had refused to sign the paperwork. Number 11. Carlos Caban. During what began as a normal workday at a Best Western hotel in Port St. Lucie in late March, a housekeeper discovered the slain body of 58-year-old Tony Lynn Marie Trabb in one of the rooms. Trabb was pronounced dead at the scene, and investigators quickly zeroed in on a 51-year-old person of interest named Carlos Tito Caban. Shortly after the discovery of Trabb's body, Caban was pulled over in Tifton, Georgia, while driving the victim's vehicle with a woman in the passenger seat. He had reportedly met the woman in Orlando and invited her to come along after telling her that he was en route to New York just 2 years earlier, Caban had been released from prison after serving time for a battery charge. On July 11th, he was formally indicted on charges of first-degree murder, grand theft, fraudulent use of a credit card, and criminal use of personal identification. He remains held without bond as prosecutors prepare to seek the death penalty. Number 10. Andrew Michael Mustapick. In a case that could be best described as bizarre, even for Florida, a 70-year-old computer technician named Andrew Michael Mustapick was arrested in Indian River County in early May for trying to hire a hitman to kill someone he described as his sex slave. The series of events leading up to the arrest began in the fall of 2021, when Mustapick was accused of forcing a minor victim into a sexual servitude contract. Under the terms of the agreement, the victim would serve Mustapick twice a week at his home, where she was driven by a friend who used a car that the suspects had bought specifically for transporting the victim to and from his residence. Mustapick pleaded no contest to charges surrounding the case in January of this year and was expecting to face a year in jail followed by a decade of probation. 2 months later, law enforcement received a tip that the senior citizen was seeking a hitman. A meeting was arranged between Mustapick and an undercover detective posing as a paid assassin who agreed to kill the victim in exchange for $50,000. Following his most recent arrest, Mustapick's bond for his previous case was revoked. He remains in custody and is facing additional charges, including 2 counts of soliciting another to tamper with a victim and unlawful use of a two-way communications device. Number 9. The murder of Daylon Fleitas Gonzalez. 37-year-old Daylon Fleitas Gonzalez was reported missing in Hialeah in early August after he failed to return home from a planned meeting with an acquaintance who owed him $10,000. While tracing his last known movements, detectives discovered that he was last seen in his pickup truck with a man who was later identified as 32-year-old Alfredo Carballo Gonzalez. An altercation took place inside the vehicle between the two men, and Carballo Gonzalez was seen dragging a body and placing a recycling bin in the truck bed shortly thereafter. He then drove away from the scene while his girlfriend, 27-year-old Ariely Alvarez Cabrera, followed closely behind in a second vehicle. 5 days after Fleitas vanished, police found his pickup truck in a field along with the recycling bin containing his murdered body. Several weeks later, authorities arrested Alvarez Cabrera in Mexico. She has since been extradited to Florida, where she remains held in lieu of $200,000 bond on charges of accessory after the fact and tampering with physical evidence. Carballo Gonzalez remains at large, and the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office is urging anyone with information on his whereabouts to come forward. Number 8. Isaiah Collins. Tiara Belizaire Young was found murdered inside a Pembroke Pines home in September on what would have been her 25th birthday. Alongside her was the body of another victim, Octavius Anthony Myers. The two appear to have been dead for some time, according to law enforcement, who released a public statement identifying the homeowner's grandson, 27-year-old Isaiah Collins, as a person of interest in the case. Police tracked Collins to Miami Gardens, where he fled on foot from an off-duty Miami-Dade deputy who tried talking to him. He then jumped into a canal and climbed a tree before gesturing toward his waistband as if reaching for a weapon, prompting the deputy to open fire. Collins was shot in the arm but survived. After receiving medical treatment, he was booked into custody on 2 counts of first-degree murder, despite police previously stating that he was not a suspect in the double homicide. He's also facing a resisting without violence charge and remains behind bars, with bond set at $1 million. Authorities have released little information surrounding the murders of Belizaire Young and Myers, leaving the circumstances and alleged motive shrouded in mystery for the time being. Number 7. Kirk Hysell Jr. The morning of Saturday, April 12th got off to a busy start for Pinellas County deputies, who were dispatched to a double murder scene at a St. Petersburg home at around 10 a.m. Inside a bedroom, responding members of law enforcement found 34-year-old Cristina Donzero suffering from multiple stab wounds. Cristina's 75-year-old mother, Betty Suzanne Thevenet Donzero, was found in the garage with similar injuries. Both women were pronounced dead at the scene. As investigators continued to search the house, they found the accused killer, 41-year-old Kirk Hysell Jr., inside a bathroom with multiple injuries. The 911 call summoning police to the scene had come from Hysell's daughter, who told an emergency dispatcher that her father had confessed to killing his girlfriend and his girlfriend's mother. According to authorities, Hysell told deputies that he had planned to kill more family members and vowed to continue his mission if and when he regained his freedom. After being hospitalized for his injuries, he was booked into the Pinellas County Jail, where he remains held without bond on 2 counts of first-degree murder. Number 6. Bonnie Tietgens. While responding to a report of a deceased person at a St. Lucie County residence on the night of October 8th, sheriff's deputies were met by 60-year-old Bonnie Tietgens, who was standing in the garage beside a washing machine containing bloody blankets and clothing, along with a bloody blanket that was lying on the ground nearby. Deputies followed a trail of blood into the residence where they found Bonnie's husband, 64-year-old William Tietgens, lying face down on a bedroom floor with severe head wounds. He had been bludgeoned to death with a billy club. According to the couple's son, who told investigators that his mother had called him and confessed to the crime earlier that day, the Tietgens son and his siblings went to the home to check on their father and called 911 after discovering his body. Bonnie reportedly told law enforcement that she snapped after her husband made unwanted advances throughout the day. She remains in custody at the St. Lucie County Jail on charges of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. Number 5. Breanna Evans. A young woman is facing an attempted murder charge after letting her anger get the best of her during a dispute with another driver in late October. The incident took place along Interstate 95 near Boca Raton, where emergency responders found a male victim suffering from a gunshot wound. He was rushed to the hospital and luckily survived. In the meantime, the accused shooter, 26-year-old Breanna Evans, was booked into the Broward County Jail, where she remains in custody on 2 counts of attempted murder and 1 count each of shooting into an occupied vehicle and shooting from a vehicle. While the specific details surrounding the altercation between Evans and the victim are unclear, a law enforcement spokesperson implied that the shooting stemmed from a minor disagreement that spiraled needlessly out of control. Number 4. Laylani Sullivan. Polk County deputies encountered an unusual scene on October 15th after being dispatched to a mobile home park in Polk County over a domestic disturbance complaint. Upon arrival at the scene, they spoke with the husband of 24-year-old Laylani Sullivan, who accused his heavily intoxicated wife of choking, slapping and biting him during what began as a verbal dispute. Deputies found Sullivan completely unclothed in the yard. She resisted a female deputy's attempt to help her get dressed and ended up stuck in a ditch, prompting a response from fire and rescue personnel. Once she had been removed from the ditch, the suspect allegedly swung her arms at police and emergency responders while ignoring repeated commands to stop doing so. After finally being subdued, Sullivan was taken to jail, where she awaits her arraignment from behind bars, with bond set at $16,000. Number 3. Mike Whigham. In mid-September, Sanford police responded to a call from a 7-Eleven customer who claimed he had been held against his will while trying to buy a Black & Mild cigar. He told responding officers that the clerk on duty, 49-year-old Mike Whigham, had refused to assist him, leading to an argument between the two men. The customer accused Whigham of ordering him to leave the store while threatening to call the police and have him trespassed, then locking the door and refusing to let him leave. Whigham reportedly unlocked the door after the customer pointed out that his actions constituted kidnapping. After watching footage of the incident that had been surreptitiously recorded by the victim, police arrested Whigham, who gave a similar version of events during questioning. Whigham admitted to locking the door but told law enforcement that he unlocked it after realizing that his actions were wrong. He was released from jail after posting a $5,000 bond and faces 1 count of kidnapping by false imprisonment. Number 2. Dayton Schaffer. A Polk County teenager's anger over some McNuggets that were missing from his McDonald's order landed him behind bars over the summer after he threatened to shoot up the restaurant. 18-year-old Dayton Schaffer was accused of calling the fast food joint's Lakeland location in a fit of rage and continuing to act aggressive even after the manager encouraged him to come in for his nuggets, prompting employees to lock the doors out of fear that he would follow through with his threats. After tracing the call to the suspect's phone, deputies arrested Schaffer at a friend's house. During questioning, he reportedly admitted to making the threatening call because his nuggets were missing from his $5 meal deal. Schaffer claimed that he never had any serious intentions of following through with his threats, but was nevertheless booked into custody on suspicion of using a two-way communication device to commit a felony and false report of a bomb or weapon of mass destruction. Number 1. Shanika Serdahl. In what appears to be a random and unprovoked attack that took place in early March, 28-year-old Shanika Serdahl was accused of slicing a man's face open with a Pringles can at a 7-Eleven store in Orlando. The incident was witnessed by the cashier on duty, who told responding members of law enforcement that Serdahl called the victim a bitch and struck him with the snack, causing large facial lacerations that could leave him permanently scarred. Serdahl had fled the scene by the time Polk County deputies arrived, but was subsequently apprehended and booked into custody on an aggravated battery charge. Thanks for watching. Which US state would you least and most like to live in respectively, and why? Let us know in the comment section below.